Every woman has a different erogenous area. I've bringing a girl to orgasm through her armpit before. Okay, I'm bringing a girl to orgasm through her big toe. Every girl has a erogenous zone, and they're all different. There's the basic ones: the inner thigh, around the nipples, the vaginal area, the lower back, the neck, the ears. Find out where hers is. It could be up the side of her body. It could be super light touch. It could be hard touch. Find out what hers are. Make her absolutely your study. That's really what it is. When you touch her belly, breathe in her ear. Lightly slap her thigh. Suck on one of her fingers. Lightly rub on her clit. Touch her calf, her neck. Draw just circles around her vagina without touching it. Stop and go the opposite direction. Stop and do ambiguous touching just around her vagina. Out of the blue, sometimes you can go a little faster. You can go, if you're doing the touching, you can, if you're going slow, like I'm touching here, and then you stop and then you go to ear. Sometimes you can go, okay, ear, inner thigh, back of the neck, vagina. You can use and change the tempo like that as well. You're always breaking it up. You're finding out the different tempos, all this stuff. So remember, there are no rules. You get to play. You get to get creative on this whole thing. It's carnal creativity at its finest. Just use one finger, two finger, three finger while caressing her face. Sometimes use two hands. So like you're thinking this is about being creative again. So all of a sudden she's used to like one touch. Well, what if all of a sudden you take two hands and you push on the thigh, the inner thigh of each one of them? Sometimes you can use your toe. So you're touching up by the neck, and all of a sudden you reach down with your toe, and boom, you hit it right on her inner thigh while you're touching her neck. And then she's thinking, that's a big distance. Then you touch with a third. So use all your extremities. That's the cool thing about it is, like I said, you get to get creative and utilize your body as the tool. Your body is a sexual center in itself. So really play with her senses. And sometimes part of foreplay is cutting off one of her senses so that the other senses become more heightened. For example, blindfolding. You cut off that visual sense and all of a sudden the auditory or the kinesthetic, which is the feeling part, becomes more sensitive. So a lot of it has to do with cutting it off. Sometimes you've seen those GIMP masks, like if you ever watch Pulp Fiction, bring out the GIMP. They look weird, but that's cutting off her auditory sense. So it's a very internal auditory sensation. So she becomes very aware of her breathing because she's hearing differently. It's not like she's hearing on the outside. It's an internal hearing. So utilize that. There's blindfolds. There's the ear muffs. When you're utilizing the body as far as ambiguous touching or things like this, and she's blindfolded and her physical sensation's very heightened, use a cold prop. What if you used like a cool spoon, a feather, a silk? There's hot water, cold water, a slap. It could be a pen. It could be a card. It could be pennies. It could be anything. Remember, there's taste, temperature, there's texture, there's pressure, there's anything that you can do is going to bring a different sensation. This is about awakening and her expanding her inner pathway, her map of pleasure. The more you can utilize things, the better. I even have this thing called a violet wand, which is a Tesla coil with a glass attached to it. And if I bring it close to the nipple, it'll like actually jump out and kind of lightly electrocute them. Not too bad, but it's there and they have different attachments to it. One's like a ball, so it's very, very modest, but you could do that over her body. The point is to get creative and look around the room for anything that can separate her body or give her a different sensation, because ultimately you're expanding her ability for pleasure, her ability to feel different things. You are expanding her map. You